All right, here we go. Law and Sporter, legal podcast, Thursday night. We got the full crew in here. Judge Dan, Justin Watkins, Adam Hill is here. It's Cofield. We'll get to a little food talk. We got to get to the pitmaster, who apparently is one level pitmaster, but whoever that guy was, Mo Kaysen, we got to talk about that guy later on. We got some good videos of some good eating and good cooking and whatever. I can't speak English, so all right, Adam. I know we're kind of all over the place with the rundown tonight. So, and I'll actually, I got some late requests. Echo. I got some late requests from Brady, so I'll throw those in. But you start where you want.
All right. Well, first of all, good evening, gentlemen. Like the orange is it adds a brightness to the set there, Dan. Good work. I like it.
Adam, you like this shirt? This is from your favorite place on earth, La Jolla Kayak from La Jolla Shores.
Nice. Very impressive. Solid. As I was telling Justin just before he came on, we almost had like a live action Law and Sporter tonight. There is like chaos in my neighborhood right now. Helicopters flying over. It looks like Justin will know this because he's in the area. For other people in Southern Highlands, there's like a couple of on-ramps onto the freeway in Southern Highlands. They're blocked, or at least there's cops on the on-ramps. I guess they don't want people whoever they're looking for to escape onto the on-ramp. There's a couple helicopters flying over. All the neighborhoods have police cars in them. So I was going to go out and try to investigate, but I was like, it's probably not a good idea. I don't know what I could do. I can't be very helpful, I don't think.
Oh my gosh. Now I'm going to get a whole bunch of notifications from my Ring doorbell from like Ring Neighborhood, which I didn't subscribe to. I don't know how I get on it. It would be like loud bangs. Did anybody hear that? Like anytime there's fireworks or any sort of commotion, people are like, gunshots? ? And I get this like notification from Ring Neighborhood, and I'm like, what? How do I get this? Why am I getting this? It's crazy.
What about are you on Nextdoor?
No, come on, no. Jeez.
That's all that is too. Anytime anything happens, it's gunshots. Like that's guaranteed.
That's why I'm not on those things. It's terrible. I want to be off the Ring Neighborhood thing, and I just want to use my Ring doorbell. But I'll figure that out one day.
All right.
What's happening, Judge Dan?
Hello, guys.
Hello. You're in a new place today.
Yeah, well, because the kitchen's dirty, so I had to turn it around.
I like it. Solid.
Which is a shame because I actually was going to show Cofield the air fryer has actually, it's kind of a big seminal moment, which we'll probably talk about later in the show, but the air fryer has actually taken up permanent residence, actually has its own spot in the kitchen now, which because we had bought the air fryer for the wife, another thing that the wife wanted, then decided she didn't like. I dropped a bunch of money on this big top of the line air fryer. She didn't like it at first. Now we're all kind of coming around. It has its spots. It's not the end all be all, but it has its spots. But we've been dragging it in and out from the garage, but we're using it enough, even because ours is big, right? It's a big giant air fryer, which it's got the door and the racks and stuff. It's but it's getting used enough now that it's actually got its own counter space, Steve. So I think you're happy. But the kitchen's too dirty, so we've turned it around. So you get to see a different view of the Jacobs household, along with in the background, the printer that I moved in from the office. So I don't actually have a printer in my house. It just hasn't been moved to its permanent residence there. So looks like we have technology in my living room, but that's not the case.
What are you throwing in the air fryers? A connoisseur like you, what gets relegated to air fryer status and that you're making frequent enough to keep the air fryer in?
Well, Steve and I were in a battle over Steve and 1.7 million of his teenage girlfriends. He does the twisty bacon. So I did make some bacon in over there over the weekends. Steak fingers, like the chicken fried steak fingers. My daughter likes those. I actually like them too. Chicken nuggets and things like that. Yeah, the things like that can go in the air fryer. Not steak like Steve and Adam like to do. I don't put steaks in there, but like little appetizer type things can go in there. Things like that.
Do I have to hold off on food talk, Cofield, or we're saving it for later? Is that the deal?
Okay, no, do what you want. Yeah, do what you want.
Well, so I've gotten into the recent. So typically with my elk meat, when I get down to cube steak and flake steak, I'm kind of at a loss. I don't know what to do with it because you can't cook it like a regular steak because elk meat's so lean that it just dries right out. Right, it dries out. It's bland as all can be. So I've been playing with some carne asada type marinades to like make tacos or burritos with. And I've had some mild success. I'm wondering if you have like a carne asada marinade sort of mix that you use for, typically it'd be beef, right? I'm substituting the elk meat for beef.
Well, what I love, what I would try is, I would assume you can get it out. Well, you can get it on Amazon. For any lower cut of meat. Now, it's not carne asada, but just any beef that is not. And actually, I'm a little guilty of even using this on ribeye just because I love it so much. And ribeye's, you might get smacked around for using it on ribeye, but I like it. But ribeye is typically a little bit of a higher cut of meat. You wouldn't want to use this on. But Allegro, have you ever heard of that? It comes in a silver bottle, a gold bottle. I'll run over here and see if I have any. But it's in your marinade section. It's a Allegro seasoning marinade, and it is delicious. So if you have any cut of meat that is just something that you're like, it's on the edge, marinate that in for half a day or a day, and pound it a little bit. Money, and it is tasty, flavorful, and it's the flavorizer that tenderizes. That's exactly what it's for. You can order it for sure off Amazon, and but you might be able to get it at a Walmart if you stoop to the level of shopping.
No. I don't go shopping. I don't go to the store.
Sorry about that.
Yeah. So I'll order it online. But so I'll tell you what I did. So I pounded it out, salt and pepper just to get it going, right? And then I did squeezed orange juice, lemon juice. There you go. Lemon juice, oregano, paprika, cumin, and a lot of chili powder, and cilantro, and some soy sauce.
Yeah.
Mix it all up in that. Threw it in there for 2 days. Pretty good. Like definitely took out all the gaminess, but it didn't have, like, I'll say, an authentic sort of carne asada taste to it. It was no gaminess to it, and nice. But I gotta imagine, that was just kind of sort of my first try based on what Google told me. I thought an expert like you might have. So I'm gonna give that stuff a try. I'm gonna give that a go.
Well, two things there. One, thank you. I was afraid you were going to say, well, I was throwing it in the air fryer, which sounds like you didn't. Thank you. Two, I love the fact you're like, hey, I took out the gaminess. Yeah, you went hunting. And I appreciate that you don't like the gaminess in your big game meat. I can appreciate that.
Well, elk is like, if you get a good one, elk is minimally gamey, and I argue if you get a good one and it, you got it cleaned out and quickly and all that, I'd argue is better than beef and only requires salt and pepper. But this particular animal that I have does have a little bit of gaminess to him, a little bit. So as I get down to those lesser cuts of meat, I'm not on the fillets, on the back straps, and I'm into that cube meat and flank steak stuff. I've just sort of been at a loss, and this has worked pretty good so far. So I'm now trying to work my way through the rest of that meat, and we're having taco night like every 3 nights at the Watkins house.
Right, yeah, taco night. Sounds great. Fajitas also, with that flank steak and stuff, you make fajitas and you slice it, against the grain, real thin, slice it. In a marinade like you're talking about, and that's exactly what that's for. Those little thin strips sliced against the grain. Money.
Perfect. Okay, I'm good, Adam. I've got the direction now.
No, you're fine. I think my computer just decided like you're not a part of this. Just shut down. I don't know if you guys saw it. My computer crashed at some point during that, so it was like, yeah, you don't belong here. Get out. You're done. Yes, I do appreciate it, but I have no contribution whatsoever to that.
Well, and somebody, Truth from Duluth is saying, thank you for the contribution. Says Allegro has a game meat specific marinade. So there you go.
Oh, okay. There we go. I'm in.
That could be good. There you go. We found your answer. It's perfect.
All right.
I have questions about if we're going to have to do the Chauvin trial all over again. The story surfaced that there was potentially a juror who was not truthful on the questionnaire when it asked about if you've attended a protest. There are some conflicting stories to whether it was a specific protest related to this trial or a protest in general, which is what the juror is trying to explain. But I'll tell you, like, as much as I was happy with the verdict and thought it was a just verdict, and after watching it, I thought this is how it's supposed to go. I also feel like if there was a problem with one of the jurors on the questionnaire, like, we've probably got to do it again.
Typically not how that works.
No?
They don't like to unring the bell. I think you guys remember this podcast where I've told some jury stories before. I'm trying to remember, Justin, what was the trial where, man, one of the jurors was already preparing to write a book or something. I'm trying to remember what that was. I don't think they ended that one either.
No.
So they always come down to, well, could you be fair and impartial? So the quick answer is no. Now, I understand what you're saying, Adam, is to you and me, doesn't sound reasonable. Like we want to be fair. And so it sounds, well, duh, we want to a layperson. It sounds, yeah, if this person was not truthful with the court, as much as we all want justice to be fair, then yeah, I guess we kind of have to redo it. That's not the way they look at it. The appellate system almost, I don't know, Justin, you can weigh in. Like I don't want to say 0% chance. They'll give it a cursory look. They're not going to unring the bell over something like that.
Yeah, I think that's one piece. If there needs to be a lot more to the puzzle before they're going to consider it. I mean, the first thing is there is quite a bit of case law on, withholding of information or lying in a jury questionnaire. And a lot of it, the Supreme Court, the United States Supreme Court has weighed in on this issue. And it says, basically, if it's an innocent mistake in responding to the jury questionnaire, then we're good. We're not even really going to consider it. The system can't be that perfect. These are people's lives. They're doing their best. If there is an intentional action to try to mislead and withhold information that would be relevant from that juror and would likely impact and show bias and lead to a for cause kicking off of the jury, now you're starting to get towards something that an appellate court would look at. But even then, I think if that's all they have, then it's going to be problematic. Here, I don't think that's all they have, right? I think that they're going to point to Maxine Waters' comments the day before the jury verdict came out, talking about, they need to be more forceful if this verdict isn't guilty. The pressure from outside sources, media, and the protest. I think that's all going to come into it. Do I think it's all going to eventually end with the verdict being overturned? I don't. Just for the reasons that Dan is saying, is they don't like to do this. It has to be pretty extreme situations. And I know everybody's pointing to this juror saying he was wearing a shirt that said, "Get your knee off my neck." But the question was, have you gone to any protests related to the George Floyd matter? And his answer was no. And he says, I went to an anniversary of Martin Luther King's speech. Yes, people, connected with the Floyd trial were there and they spoke, but that's not what it was about. And his shirt in that regard is irrelevant to the question. The question didn't ask, have you ever, made any statements or worn any shirts in regards to George Floyd and this incident or anything like that. The question was, have you gone to a protest, a Black Lives Matter protest, in response to this, in response to the death of George Floyd? And he said no. And I think his explanation is going to be good enough, which is no, it was to commemorate Martin Luther King's "I Have a Dream" speech, which it was. That's why he was there.
Well, I guess how egregious would it have to be? And to actually change that question, Brady said, "Could it stand?" Steve put it up. Could the decision stand, but the juror be charged with something, like maybe lying on the document?
Dan, I don't think that there is a criminal offense for lying on a jury questionnaire. It's not under oath, right? So there's no perjury there. I've never seen anybody go under oath for a jury questionnaire.
Yeah, I mean, you'd have to look specifically in Minnesota. Is it a criminal offense? I don't think they would be looking. You'd have to look at the conduct. I just don't see it happening. I don't. It's something that's interesting to talk about, but I just don't see anything coming out of this.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I am also fascinated, and I know we've talked about this before, but I'm fascinated every time it comes up. The question of whether public figures can block people on Twitter. And in this case, there was a district attorney in Texas who had blocked some people. They sued and said, "Hey, you can't limit the public speech in public forum," I guess would be the what they were saying. And he had to unblock these people. Like, is this a matter of we are figuring out social media and the internet and that sort of thing, and there might be laws in the future on this that are different than what we face right now? Or is this just going forward? Are we not going to be able to, or are politicians not going to be able to block people?
So I'll take a stab at this. I think the key to this ruling there hasn't been a ruling yet, but I think the key to this argument, to this case, is that he's using his personal Twitter account for official elected office business. And so once he did that, then when he blocks somebody, they do not have access to his Twitter and to his comments that may be comments in his official capacity. If he had kept the line of delineation between this is my elected office Twitter and this is my personal Twitter, then he can block whoever he wants on the personal. But I think ultimately what it comes down to is people have the right to have access to the records of their elected officials. And when he blocks somebody, they don't have access to those tweets. And therefore, the argument is they're violating the Constitution. I think he recognizes that he's probably not in the right spot here. And that's why he unblocked everybody. But they've moved forward with the case. They're still trying to move forward with the case. Unless they get somebody who's blocked again, I don't know that the court's going to hear it. I think they'll just keep punting and say, well, problem solved. Nobody has standing here. Case dismissed. They could hear it on the basis that this will repeatedly come before the court over and over again. But I just don't think that's something these courts want to touch, is social media blockings and what that means constitutionally. What do you think, Dan?
Yeah, I agree with you, and it looks like we lost down there for a second. Now, am I missing something on the? And this is a little bit off field, but with the Facebook thing, with Trump, they said that he couldn't. Their own policy was they could permanently disable an account, but they had decided to indefinitely suspend his account, and then they came out against their own decision and said, because they had said, well, they're going to suspend his account indefinitely, and so they said, well, you can't do that to him. Why didn't they just ban his account permanently, disable his account? What am I missing here? Why didn't they just say, okay, ban his account permanently then? It seemed like there's a much ado about nothing here. What was going on with that?
I think that whole story is odd to me. I mean, I get the public wanting to put pressure on Facebook to not be the arbiters of truth in the world and who is in charge and who's not, and silencing people and all of that. But ultimately, they're a private held company. They can make whatever decision they want. They can kick anybody off their platform. They can choose to have them on or not. I'm sure if Adam went on to a Q platform and started, tussling with them and stating his political affiliation, they would kick him off too. They'd be like, get out of here. This isn't what this is for. So those private organizations can do whatever the hell they want. Now everyone points to, well, they went against their own rules. Okay. Then it sounds like they made a new rule. Like, what the fuck? I don't get the whole uproar. I do get like all the politicians and everybody on that side of the aisle saying this is a dangerous precedent. We shouldn't do that. I get that argument. But from a legality standpoint, like I see nothing there.
Well, yeah, it was just like all these. Okay, so their own review board reviewed it, but then there were all these opinion pieces about, gotcha, blah blah blah. I was like, what? Okay, so what? None of this means anything. It's them saying to themselves, you shouldn't have done it this way. Well, then why didn't they just say, okay, fine, he's banned forever? Okay, right. That's our own rule that we made up against ourselves. Fine, he's gone forever. Why would you be letting him back on? And I'm not making a political statement here, but just based on the policy that you said he violated, why didn't you just ban him to begin with? Like, I don't get it. Like, what was this big hubbub about? I don't. Am I missing something?
No, I don't get it either. Dan, I'll just ask, and maybe Justin, you seem to be following it pretty closely. Aren't they trying to set themselves up in a different, like, they're trying to make themselves something that they're not right now? And I think that they're trying to be extra careful about like precedents and the sort of thing that they do now, just because they are, whatever their rules are now that govern them, like they want to be more than that, or like bigger than that.
I think it's actually slightly the opposite of that. I think that they don't want. There is efforts on the federal level to allow for oversight on the federal level over these platforms and have some say in the rules in which they generate, rather than just saying they're just a platform. So I think that they're trying to put together a little system that just shows like, hey, look, we've got a system for self-governing that's all good. There's no reason for anybody on the federal level to dig in here and start making up rules that we need to follow. So we're just a platform, but we also are going to be like responsible as a platform, but we're not making any speeches. We're not standing on any side of the aisle. We're just against violence. And they're trying to thread that needle. And I think that honestly, I think they ended up on the decision they ended up with on Trump because of who's in power currently in Washington. And they don't want anything to pass through Congress that provides for more oversight and accountability under them. That's just my personal opinion.
It's crazy. And they had a lot to do. Like, the review board is not independent. Like, I've heard some media outlets say, oh, an independent review board said this. Like, didn't they assign the board?
Yeah, independently.
Right.
Right. So I don't know how that fits in. It's all crazy. South Carolina intrigues me. They have reinstituted the firing squad, which is okay. Good for them. Does this? I thought this had been ruled out as cruel and unusual. Apparently not. So has it been actually approved as not cruel and unusual, and that this is actually acceptable, and they're actually going to be able to do this? And part of this, I should say, you get to choose, because they can't get the drugs now. The drug companies won't allow them access to the drugs to, do the lethal injection. So you get to choose, if you're on death row, whether you want the chair, which is very fancy contraption there, or death by firing squad, which does not sound fun at all either. Does it make any difference that you have a choice in the matter?
Well, what would you rather do? I mean, would you rather be electrocuted to death or get a quick bullet to the head? I'd rather have a bullet to the head, to be honest with you.
I mean, you might not die right away.
Well, I don't want to be electrocuted. I'd rather get a quick bullet to the head, to be honest with you.
I'm with Dan on this. Like,
but I'd obviously rather get the lethal injection.
Well, but sometimes remember Tookie Williams? I know you're a big, I don't know how you say this, but, Crips and Bloods, historian there, Adam, like they sat there and tried to find his veins forever, man. Like that. I want to talk about cruel and unusual. My buddy used to run around. He loved this quote forever in high school. It says, "The anticipation of death is worse than death itself." And if you're sitting there laying on the table, waiting to die for 45 minutes or an hour and a half, what about these halted executions? And then you come back the next day. Is that cruel and unusual? That's worse, so to speak. So, just because it's a lethal injection where you think, oh, is it peaceful like a puppy? Going out like that? Not necessarily. It can be worse. So, again, people think, oh, cruel and unusual. Well, that the courts don't. Most people think, well, being put to death is pretty cruel and unusual, but the Supreme Court doesn't look at it that way. They've said being put to death by itself is not cruel and unusual punishment. So just being electrocuted, you would think, well, that's cruel and unusual punishment. Well, it's not. So just because it's a firing squad doesn't mean it's cruel and unusual. I happen to think that it may be less cruel and unusual than some of these other methods.
Can we bring back
well said, I'm with Dan.
Can we bring back the guillotine? Does that work?
Would you like that, Adam? Is that something you would like?
I don't think I'm going to commit a crime where I'm going to get executed.
Oh, you don't?
I don't think so.
Well, you don't have to. It's not like we haven't executed innocent people.
True.
Right.
Oh, that would be the worst if you're getting executed falsely and then you have to choose which way you're going to go. God, that would suck. I just, first of all, would you volunteer to be on a firing squad?
You're asking me?
Yes.
I would never participate in any way in an execution. Like we said on here before, I'm against the death penalty in any and all of its forms. I did, when I served in the legislature, I did have an opportunity to go witness a person being put to death. Well, I thought I was going to, Scott Dozier, and I felt like it was my civic duty to do it, to watch it, and as a responsible elected leader, so that I could accurately report exactly what it's like and make an educated, argument against it in the future. But ultimately, that got halted at the 11th hour. Right? That's where the drug manufacturer sued. Yep.
Interestingly enough, when I was a young man, and I think Justin, we're probably of similar age, there used to be this thing called video stores, and you had to have a certain age to rent a couple of types of tapes. One of them was called Faces of Death, where you could there were videotapes where you could watch certain things, where one of them was people dying. The other one was UFC #1, where like Hoist Gracie was like snapping somebody's, it was in Denver, by the way.
It was
snapping somebody's arm in half or leg in half or whatever like that. So
McNichols Arena, by the way.
Yes. So it was so grotesque. The UFC and Faces of Death were both so grotesque that you had to be of a certain age to be able to rent those types of tapes, a certain maturity level, so to speak.
UFC 1 is no longer prohibited. I think you can actually get that. You can get that almost anywhere.
Well, the funny thing was, I was so wise beyond my years, pretty much coming out of the womb, that I could always pass for everything. But the one time that I tried to get away with it, the person at the video store was like, "Oh, are you 18?" And I was able to bluff my way through it. So I got both Faces of Death and UFC 1.
Wow!
But I had to do a little talking to con my way through the experience.
That's quite a weekend.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We lived it up pretty hardcore out here in Denver in 1995.
That's impressive.
Summer of '95, baby. That's a Bryan Adams song.
That was the one. I was gonna say while we're on death penalty, I guess we're not anymore.
Whoa, there it is. Yeah.
Please don't play this, please.
No, he's not going to play it. It's
I have seen some awfulness, so I mean I'm ready. I just don't want to see it right now for some reason. I was gonna say while we're on death penalty, but we're not anymore. We've moved on. But there was another, because it happens all too often, case in Arkansas where they appear to have found DNA evidence that exonerated somebody who was killed 4 years ago on death row. It sucks. It's why I'm against the death penalty, and because it's not. I don't believe that it's adjudicated equally. But is this something like, as long as we have the death penalty, like we're going to have to deal with this? Like this is going to be part of what is of what comes up and what is a part of capital punishment, because there's always going to be cases where we get it wrong, and like this is just another reminder.
It's also the reason I'm against the death penalty. It's another reason why more and more states, even states like I believe Nebraska, are against the death penalty. Now, when you brought up DNA, I thought you were going to bring up the story that I saw today where Colorado's own Lauren Boebert and her mother talking about believing legendary wrestler Stan Lane is her father, despite the DNA tests proving otherwise. I thought you were going to go that direction, but you brought up
we can. We certainly can.
Did you see that story today?
I didn't, but I'm very excited about this.
Yes, you could go. Yeah, well, apparently her mother has been peddling this story that her own. This is a weird story. If we're going to go down this rabbit hole, she brags about the fact that he is her cousin, her first cousin. She tried to hit him up because apparently in Florida, there's a law that you have 4 years to try and hit somebody with child support to make it stick. So she tried to hit up her first cousin because she knew he had some money. Wrestler Stan Lane. This is Lauren Boebert's mother. And he's like, what? No, I didn't knock up my cousin. Here's my blood to prove that I'm not the father. I am not the father. Maury, if you will.
Can they go on
You
Maury?
are not the father. They did not go on Maury. They went to a court. Here we go. The strange saga of Lauren Boebert's pro wrestling paternity case. And but her mother apparently will not let it go. Now she's talking about monosomal DNA. So this is our own Colorado's own House of representative to the United States Congress. I don't know if she's in on it, but her mother's still I think she's riding that tiger.
So she doesn't know who her dad is? That's where we're at?
Apparently not. Apparently Sweet Stan Lane is who they're still, recently we're still claiming is her father.
Was he a big time
this
wrestler?
lady had no chance. You know what? I forgive her of almost everything she's ever done. Her mom's trying to tell her her whole life that her cousin is her dad. Like, come on.
Yeah, well, he was a Jim Cornette guy, so he was big before Vince McMahon kind of like took over and made it national. So he was in Florida, like I think ACA. He was a big when wrestling was still regional.
Gotcha.
He was a pretty big wrestler back then.
Do you know like what his gimmick was?
I think he was a tag team. Yeah, he was. I think he was a pretty big tag team guy, I think.
All right, that's interesting.
Here we go. Here's Stan Lane coming up.
There we go, baby. Yeah. You remember him? You remember Jim Cornette?
I'm going to say yes. That's her dad.
DNA be damned.
So I'm all in on this. Laura, she is. You said Colorado, but she's not actually Colorado, right? She's like Grand Junction.
Well, Grand Junction is Colorado. Grand Junction's a beautiful place.
You know as well as I do. That's not Colorado.
It is Colorado. I vacation in Grand Junction. It's beautiful. It's actually unique because it has a a distinctly different climate where they it's like a vineyard, a semi-arid or whatever it's called. So they have vineyards and it's got great golf. I went to was supposed to go to a judicial conference there. But it was crazy because they were running all of our ads. It was during that campaign season. We're like, who's this kook? She's running around with a gun on her hip. And because it was during that time, because it was basically what happened was it was a conference for judges. They didn't have it because of COVID, but they said you can still go because of the great rates. So we're like, yeah, we'll go. We'll go have a good time out there. It's a beautiful place. Grand Junction's awesome. But they lean. I don't have. They lean different. They're very conservative out there, which is fine. Sure. That's awesome.
Sure.
I don't think they knew what they were getting when they, signed on for that. To be honest with you.
I mean, how could you not? Like, we all knew we knew here what they were getting in her. Well, I guess it was the primary. It was the primary was what really did it, because once she won the primary, there's no way she was losing the general. So maybe she, maybe after that,
Adam, we have no room to talk in Nevada where we elected a dead pimp to the state legislature.
Okay, yeah, that's not Nevada either. just like Grand Junction is not Colorado. Like, that was not Nevada.
I don't know, man. There's a lot of parts of Nevada that are a lot more like that than there are that are like.
He got elected in like East Bakersfield. Like, that's the region that he was in. That's insanity. By the way, Lauren Boebert's mom, who does claim that her cousin is the one who knocked her up, allegedly participated in storming the Capitol, right? I mean, that's the allegations that are out there. That she was visiting and she took a tour of the Capitol and then participated in the storming of the Capitol. That's again allegations. I don't know that for a fact. I saw video of a woman who looked very much like her mom. But again, I don't have the DNA evidence to back this up. So,
well, you were dating her mom allegedly, Adams. So.
No, I'm not related. I was out of the. Yeah. I was not qualified to. To date her.
I mean, if we're just throwing allegations out there and saying allegedly, I mean, why not?
Sure. Justin taught me that. I can say whatever I want about anybody to say.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
Like Jim Rome.
Allegedly. There was a colostomy bag attack outside.
Cofield was kidding when he put that on the rundown. He made a bet with Justin and I to see if he would actually run with it, and you did. You took it.
I mean, this is one of the stories that when Cofield gives me a rundown of 19 stories with 15 minutes to go until the show, I'm like, I'm not reading that one.
Well,
I just skip it.
You don't have to read it. The finer points are there was a man who has not only a forehead tattoo, but also a colostomy bag.
Brady.
Thank you,
Brady.
And the only reason this is really a story, crazy enough, because the colostomy bag would kind of make it a story in most cases, it was outside Kid Rock's shitty bar in Nashville. That wasn't even on purpose. I was just saying it's not a good bar. Is there any type of this is not like simple assault. Like, to me, there's got to be some sort of enhancement to a crime if you're swinging your colostomy bag at somebody, right? Like, we can't just call this a simple case.
Dan?
I'm trying to think what type of sentencing enhancer you could have for.
By the way, just to point out the lead, because I do love leads, as everybody knows. Leads are the entire story, right? Right. Somebody said,
right, Adam.
Somebody said, a man was arrested for wielding a colostomy bag at Kid Rock's Nashville bar over the weekend, and the details are quite messy.
Oh, yes.
Come on. Nice. Come on.
That's good. I like it. I like it.
So he was actually swinging the colostomy bag at the police when they got there too. At least 2 officers were indeed hit with the ingredients of the colostomy.
Ingredients? You mean the contents?
Contents.
The ingredients. What's the matter with you tonight?
I don't know. Well, the story said they were hit with feces. I was trying to clean it up, but that wasn't any better. Ingredients is not better. Contents is the proper word. This is okay. Everybody's got jokes.
It's fucking uncensored, and you're trying to take feces out of it. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
It's like, I don't like the word. It's gross, but that's fine. Ingredients was not the proper word. I will freely admit that. Contents was the proper word.
You don't like feces, but what about? I mean, there's a billion other synonyms that you could use. Oh well, I'll let it go.
No, you can keep it up. It's worthy of derision for sure. But yes,
the
ingredients of the bag. I think if they're mixed together in the bag, I think that makes them ingredients.
Well, okay. I don't know, man. Ingredients kind of infers that like he placed them in there, like he mixed them, and you know,
right,
like a concoction. The concoction.
Yes. So I actually thought it was part of the joke, but the outlet that broke the story is called Scoop Nashville, which I don't.
Come on,
that's actually the outlet. That's an outlet that.
Come on.
Can we find something to charge this guy extra? Like this is just come on. We have to discourage this from happening in society.
I don't think it's like some nationwide problem that we have to legislate to deal with. I think there's sometimes there's just some one-off fucking crazy people, man. You just gotta. You can't legislate for every possible situation.
Justin, you've taught me about precedent. Like you can't allow this to stand because somebody else will do this. We need to take a stand. I don't know. Yes, that's Brady.
Brady's bringing it tonight. This is good. That's good.
It's ridiculous. So there's nothing we can.
The nursing homes are all going to be like, "Hey, we have a loophole now."
Yeah. First of all, this guy not old.
How old is he?
I know, but what I'm saying is, there's precedent now. Like, what segment of the population is going to say there's a legal precedent that we can get away with? You know, the nursing homes? Like who?
By the way, Dan, wearing your shirt, this guy.
Yeah.
I mean, there could be something there, right, Dan? Like, let's say, okay, if the guy knows he's got some sort of illness.
That's what I was thinking. Like, yeah, if he was, something that's spreading a disease or something like that. By the way, this is this shirt is like a smoking meat shirt, by the way. You keep ragging on my shirt there, Adam.
No, I actually liked it. I just noticed that the guy was also wearing an orange shirt. And
the prison colors. You're saying his shirt's got prison colors.
Yes.
I like the shirt.
Adam's going to get shanked if he's not careful tonight.
So
the guillotine. He'll get the guillotine.
I've ranted many times on this program, and I did today again on the air. Tito Ortiz is among the dumbest human beings on the planet, allegedly. That's my opinion after talking to Tito Ortiz dozens of times, as he is a very, very dumb individual.
Here comes Schofield.
There he comes. What happened?
Well, I don't think you have to say allegedly for an opinion that someone's dumb. Are you going to get a defamation suit?
He's a fucking moron.
Did you really have to cover him? He's allegedly stupid. Like you've been around him. You think he's stupid. It's your opinion.
I want to make it clear. It's my opinion.
Allegedly.
Yes, allegedly that he's a fucking idiot.
Tito's going to come in with some doctored Mensa papers and be like, nope, see, I'm not dumb. Fucking defamation. I'm suing your ass.
Yes, that's why I'm being careful. Thank you, Justin. He was also elected to the city council in Huntington Beach and was named mayor pro tem, which speaks volumes about the residents in that locale. But Tito Ortiz also has ranted very much against the social safety net, against immigrants stealing all of our resources, on and on about people, living off the government teat, and on and on and on and on. And this fucking moron is allegedly serving on city council, is allegedly a millionaire from all of his time as an athlete and on various television and other things, and he filled out an unemployment claim. So good for him. I have no idea about, listen, if he's not in work, I don't know if it qualifies for work if you're doing your city council job and he's not fighting anymore. Maybe he is out of work, but he's certainly a hypocrite. But if this was it says accused of filing BS unemployment claim. Maybe he was qualified for it. I don't know. But if he wasn't, what kind of trouble can people get into for, filing a claim that don't deserve, or have not earned or do not have the right to collect unemployment and falsifying a document?
Well, I think you could absolutely get every time you fill out one of those claims, it's right on there, like penalty. Now that's it's state dependent, but unless he was doing federal or whatever. But I don't know how often these are actually ever prosecuted. But they say very scarily on there that you could be in big trouble for doing this. Like you should not be defrauding the government. Let me be very clear about that. You should not be defrauding the government. I don't know what legitimate line of work that he's had that would make him eligible for unemployment, unless it was some sort of, there was pandemic related unemployment for a while. I thought that's been gone for a while. There was self-employment pandemic in the beginning, which I was eligible for, had it not been for my 6 hours a week at the radio station, which is costing me about, I think at the beginning of the pandemic was costing me like $4,000 in unemployment, but something like that. But I don't know what Tito Ortiz would have been qualified for.
Yeah, according to the story, he has not obviously fought in a long time, so it wasn't that.
Is a UFC fighter eligible for unemployment? Aren't they
independent contractor?
Yeah, they're independent contractors.
But this says he has not taken a pay cut or had hours or wages reduced from his job on the city council and as mayor pro tem. That's according to the mayor of Huntington Beach.
Yeah, so Justin could probably speak to it maybe a little bit better. But yeah, definitely you could face penalties for trying to defraud. It's right there multiple times. Anytime you go through I'm pretty sure, and it's probably different where he's at, but each time you submit a claim, they pretty much spell it out almost in red letter. You should not be defrauding that. So it's a big no-no. Now, will anything come of it? Probably not. And again, it's almost like that jury, the jury service thing. Like you can always try and say, oh, it's an honest mistake. He undoubtedly will say that. He's also, on the city council or whatever. So is he going to get in trouble for it? I doubt it. He's going to claim he made an honest mistake, but should he be doing that? No, he should not.
Well, yeah. So, there are two different ramifications that can come out of that. One is criminal. I believe in most states it's going to be a felony to attempt to defraud the government, depending on the amount that he was making a claim for. And then two, they can actually bring a civil action. Let's not forget what happened with Lance Armstrong, right? That was a defrauding of the government claim. And then the civil claim, they can claim triple damages and attorney's fees and costs. So in theory, there are ramifications associated with it, both civilly and criminally. I don't know whether or not he qualifies. And the statement that he has not had any reduced hours on the council is not the end of the question, because on the city council, he gets paid $1,500 a month. So if he was doing some promotional work, if he was, on retainer somewhere, let's not forget when they did the pandemic unemployment claims, I think universally, because the federal government gave them the money, 1099s and independent contractors were included. They did it because the Uber and Lyft drivers, the food delivery people, all those, nobody knew who was going to be able to work during this time or not. And so independent contractors were counted. So if he was doing some sort of promotional thing and then all the fights stopped, could he be eligible? Maybe. I don't fucking know, California unemployment laws, but I don't think the end of the analysis is he hasn't fought in several years. and his duties and pay have not changed on the city council. There could be something, because the pay is clearly de minimis for the work on the city council. It's $18,000 a year.
Would you? Yeah, definitely they'll use it against him in the election for sure.
Oh no, I think that the most likely thing is for him to be removed from office. If there's going to be anything to pay for this, it's going to be an impeachment action against him for filing a false document.
I know Steve wanted to jump back in. I think do some smoker talk to wrap things up, but I did want to talk about one other thing real quick. The Peloton treadmills were recalled.
Yep.
First of all, not for having the commercials with the abused wife, but because in a serious matter, the treadmill could actually tip over and a kid was killed actually by this happening. So when there is this is I guess a strange question, but it was what I was thinking of after discussion with some people. Like, what you can do is you can send it back in, right? Like, you could just say, hey, look, we're sending this back in. You get a refund or you get a new product or whatever it is that you can do in a recall. But it's not like a forced thing. You don't have to send it back in. But my question was, because I know somebody that has it, and they were saying, well, we don't have any kids. We don't really have any kids in the house. We're not really that worried about it. We're just going to keep the treadmill. And my thought was, I might, if I'm in their position, I might send it in just because, hey, if I know that there's a problem, if somebody does come into my house and something happens with it, and I knew there was a problem, but I didn't, go through with this, like, now that's probably on me. So I would probably do this just for the sake of, like, hey, look, I'm going to be my most careful and say, hey, I'm going to send this back in, or I'm going to do whatever they do to repair it, whatever the process is. I don't want to be left just having this product that I'm like, hey, I'm not worried about it. At some point, it could be an issue.
Your analysis is spot on. Yeah, that's true. You don't have to send it back. If you hurt yourself or hurt somebody else gets hurt, the likelihood of being able to come back against Peloton is reduced significantly because they've already given you the warning. They've asked for you to send it back, and so they can replace it. Your continued use is an assumption of the risk. And then your duty as a homeowner, or if you're renting, it doesn't matter, as the occupier of a premise, is that if somebody comes into your home or onto your property and you know of a dangerous condition and that's hidden, you must inform somebody of that dangerous condition so that they don't hurt themselves. And if you fail to warn them of the dangerous condition and they do hurt themselves, you're going to be liable. So you're right on the mark.
Would you have to, if something did happen, would somebody have to prove that you knew?
Oh, well, I mean, yeah, knowledge. So it's a complicated question because you're talking about notice, whether or not somebody had actual notice of an issue. But here, I think we would have constructive notice, which is you knew or you should have known. Basically, we won't believe that you didn't know. Like, everybody knew. We won't believe that you didn't know. And I'm sure there's going to be, I'm guessing by how often Peloton updates, that when you get on that thing the very next time and you try to start it, it's going to be like recall right on the screen, like right. Send it back. If you choose to continue to use this, hit accept, sign here, do these things. It probably won't sign. It's not a touch screen that way, but I don't know. But I'm sure you're not going to be able to use that thing without being aware of the recall. But, because there has to be ways around that. All the time, everybody's going to be like, I didn't know, right? That would just be the easiest defense in the world. I don't know. But we, in those situations, create things called constructive notice, which is if you didn't know, you should have known. And that's good enough.
Awesome. I think Steve was jumping back in, I assume, to talk smokers because he knows that I have no knowledge whatsoever. Maybe not. Maybe he's gone. There he is. There he is.
No, I just wanted to show what Dan was doing this week with chicken. So what was going on, Dan? I'll pull up the smoker here. You put up a video. Were you doing something for charity? You were feeding a bunch of people?
Oh, yeah. But it turned out to be a nightmare. I was up till 5 a.m. last night. I had to take a little nap before I came on. they dropped off the chicken. We do a thing. Twice a month we feed. We give away groceries and we feed people. So, but they dropped off the chicken and it wasn't completely thawed out. So, I loaded that sucker up. So that smoker has 8 racks. So I was cooking chicken all night, but then I had to pull it too. Like I made like pulled the pulled chicken.
Yeah.
Man, never again. But it was great. Everybody loved it.
Awesome. That's a lot of chicken.
Yeah, it was a ton of chicken, but it's fun to make. Man, that smoker is so fun, guys. Man, it is so fun with that rotisserie that goes around. And man, it's awesome. But I prefer to make the brisket or the corned beef or stuff like that. The chicken's just not my deal. You know, I like the meats, you know, the sausage or the fun stuff.
Adam, you got one?
No, how long does a chicken have to stay on something like that to get cooked?
Well, normally not much, but because it was frozen, that when they dropped it off, it was still frozen. And when you do that rotisserie, the problem is, so like they gave me some that was frozen, some that wasn't. So I pulled off most of it, but it was taking like 3 hours a batch. So, but you can't put the raw stuff on, you know, you had to wait because the beauty of that rotisserie smoker is it'll baste when the racks go, one rack will baste the meat below it. Well, but you can't put raw chicken on non-raw chicken because then the raw, you know, salmonella chicken will, you know, infect the cooked chicken. You know, that's not quite done yet. So you got to wait. So I know Steve got such a kick out of Brady, you know, his little comment there. If you're looking, you're not cooking. Come on, Dad. Well, yeah, Brady, I was about to pull that chicken off when I was looking. You silly goose. Last night. So but so, you know, that's the beauty of the rotisserie is like, especially when you get nice brisket, that fat dripping down onto the other, you know, racks, you know, it's really a cool setup, that rotisserie smoker. It's life changing. Yeah. You know, really, yeah, everybody should have one. Cofield, you're next in line.
I love this. We're if it'll punch up, we're vaccinated. They'll be fine. I don't think we're vaccinated for salmonella.
Right? Yeah. No, it's not happening.
It's not a coverall.
Yeah.
Justin, you getting one? The big rotisserie smoker?
You know, we don't serve a lot of people.
Right.
Mike, you know, we don't eat that kind of volume. So, you know, I have a hard time getting through the elk that I have that comes in packages. You know, I thaw out a package at a time, and it takes us 2 meals to get through that package. And I've got hundreds of those packages in my freezer. So I've got a lot of challenges. But a smoker of that scale, I would have no use for it. It would look sad. There would be like a chicken in there rotating by itself, not getting basted. There's just nothing going on there.
Well, here's the crazy thing. And by the way, Joe Jayhawk 1 knows it's an ABS smoker. You're right. It's probably close to you in Olathe. So I get one, right? And but then I have a buddy who's like, wait, well, what'd you get? And the one I got is pretty big. I mean, it's 600 pounds. Well, he's like, well, I got to get one of those. But then, you know, mind you, the one I got is not cheap by any means. Well, then he goes and gets one. Well, he has to have one. His is bigger and probably 10 grand. And then now his buddy is going to get one that's like the biggest one you can get. That's even, you know, probably not as big as the one you're about to show, Steve, but like, it's like this chain reaction of Dan getting one, then his buddy gets one, and then it just never ends. Like that's the way this thing works.
Do they make a smaller one? Do they make one that's like a single chicken on each rotisserie shelf? So I do like 5 chickens, and then I'm good for 2 weeks.
All-Star. You can get the barbecue. It's about $1,500, or the All-Star. Yeah, those are.
I think you got to say grill. The people in Kansas City get all on my ass if I say barbecue. Grill.
No, barbecue is the name of the smoker.
Oh, barbecue. Okay, all right.
Yeah, ABS barbecue is the name of the smoker.
Yeah. Who is this guy? Some guy named Mo.
Oh, Mo Cason, big Mo Cason. He's a big dude. He wears overalls with like a big bright checkered flannel shirts.
Look at this thing. It just goes on forever.
It's ridiculous. He'll never put enough meat in there to fill that thing up, by the way.
Oh my God.
You know, I'm guessing to fill that thing up, you would have to put, I don't know, $2,000 worth of meat in there. I mean, I don't even know. Like Justin would have to shoot, I don't know how many families of elk, like how many herd that you would have to slaughter to fill that thing up. I don't know, man.
So the last 2 elk I got, I pulled off about 220 to 250 pounds of meat.
Oh, no, I wouldn't even touch that thing.
Yeah.
No, no.
Yeah, not the trailer thing. Yeah, no. Yeah. It would be appropriate for your smoker. We could do some damage with your smoker.
Right. Yeah.
Justin, when can I buy some elk off you? Do you have any spare?
You can have some elk. I just don't deliver, man. I pulled the fucker off the mountain. If you want some of it, you got to come over here and get it.
How long do I put it in the air fryer for?
Yeah.
That you might be out on that one. He'll be like,
Adam, you know how to make your own hamburger patty and make a patty, right?
Stop it. I'll buy them in the pre-made patties, and I probably would be able to cook it, but it's 50-50.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Oh, that's what you could do. You could do elk meatballs with that tough meat.
Oh, no. So I have a ton of the lowest grade meat. I just have them grinded into burger, ground meat. So I've got that's what I have more of it than anything. But I will say an elk burger hamburger it's better. It's better for you, number one. But it's great. It's wonderful. You gotta do it right. You gotta add. I mix it with an egg, salt, pepper, egg. 1 egg per 4 patties. Mix it all together. You're good. That's wonderful.
That's meatloaf.
Okay, meatloaf in between the bones is fine. Or buns. It's good for me. I didn't know I liked meatloaf. Okay, cool. I like
serving that at the new restaurant.
What's that?
Are you going to serve that at the new restaurant?
Meatloaf? I don't think that's on the menu.
Elk loaf.
Elk loaf.
But the best thing that I think I've said this on here before, the very best thing that the meat processor made out of the whole animal is he made some elk chorizo. And of course, he worked some pork in there. Obviously, he mixed the meats and the spices. But that elk chorizo was the best part of the animal. It was fantastic. Elk sausage. I just had some elk sausage yesterday. Yep.
All right. Well, I'm at the studio next week. So do I?
I don't deliver, bro.
You won't bring it to. You won't bring it.
You can't bring it to the studio.
So what? Now I gotta go get some. I gotta go get a cooler, and I gotta get ice, and I gotta keep it frozen when I send it over there. And then if you don't bring it back to your house in time, then it thaws out, and then it goes to waste.
What are you crazy? All right, we'll figure it out. We'll figure out a day. I'll come by. I don't know. Whatever. I'll come by. I'll come by with a cooler, and I'll pick some up.
We can make Adam the mule. I mean, he lives 2 blocks down.
It's true.
He can come pick it up next time he's heading your way.
It's not that far from me. I may be going to my junk auction location. I might be picking stuff up. I'll just shoot down and get some elk. Seriously, I do want to try it. What do you have left? You just have sausage and then, don't give me a side of elk that I have to grind up. I don't know. I don't do
that. No. So I'll get you some.
Here you go. Here's a giant piece of elk. Have at it.
No, it's all butchered. It's everything is butchered and wrapped. So I got some steaks. And I've got a whole bunch of grounds.
All right. I'll do that.
I got the liver in there if you want that. Got the heart in there.
I don't think I want to do the liver. I'm sorry.
No, me neither. That's why it's in there.
You were hoping I would be I love liver. Yeah. Really? Well, I can give it to you at a low cost. You're like, take the fucking liver, man. This is the worst. Adam, what do you want? You want liver?
No, I'm good.
Exactly. We'll throw some elk on the slicer.
That'll be perfect. It'll be solid. Should I take some to the RV guy?
What RV guy?
You guys know about this stuff? Like when I was out this weekend, it's amazing what we talk about on the show that people get obsessed with. 4 different people I ran into this weekend were obsessed with the RV guy that I was talking about. My next door neighbor, Justin, got an RV.
RV guy, yeah, that's right.
And he's literally out there working on it like 20 hours a day. Now, I believe that he is just trying to avoid his family. He's got like a wife and young kids. I think he's just like, how do I stay outside? But my dilemma, as I read about on the show, was like, I think when you're working that often in front of your house on something, your hope is for people to come by and be like, oh, what do you got going on here? Like, I believe that's what your hope is. First of all, I wouldn't be able to, I won't know what he's doing anyway. But I feel like, am I supposed to go be like, hey, buddy, what are you working on here? Well, I have no idea. But I feel like as a good neighbor, you're supposed to do those sorts of things. But now, today, because it's so hot, now he's built like a tent over the RV. So he's got a whole setup over there. This is insanity.
I'm going to say no. So I'm not as handy as I used to be, but like when I first had my daughters, I built them a princess castle bunk bed myself. Wow. Built the whole thing. Took me like way more hours than it should have, but I'm going to say 50 to 60 hours. And if you would have come up to me as my neighbor as I'm working on this wood, I've been like, get the fuck out of here.
Well, I believe he is like, he's mostly on the inside. Like, I think he's probably putting in like, kitchen appliances and like, I think that's what he's doing. Like, it's not like he's working on the engine.
Yeah, he's retrofitting it. He probably bought an RV that's got a great engine and all these old curtains and sheets and beds and all that and cabinets, and he's replacing them all.
No, listen to this question. First of all, I am a very nice person, but also like he's literally always out there. So like I feel like when I leave the house, when I come home, when I leave the house, when I come home, his driveway is right next to mine. So I feel like I'm seeing him 5-6 times a day. Like that's what like I feel like I'm just being a jerk, not saying anything. So I did finally like yesterday. I was like, "Hey, how's it coming?" And he's like, "Pretty good." I'm like, "All right."
That's good. Good start.
That was the whole conversation.
That's good.
All right,
by the way, how quickly do you turn them in on the HOA violations?
Oh, they'll get them. Trust me. They'll definitely get them. Like I was gonna accidentally take the trash out a day early today. I was like, oh no, I don't even want that letter. Like I got to make sure I pulled it back into the house. Like they are insane. I think they drive around like 7-8 laps a day, checking on everything. So.
I got the same HOA, man. We're talking about the same people. Freaking trash cans.
Wait a minute. Do you guys really live in the same neighborhood?
Yeah.
How is that possible?
They live in the same area.
Same neighborhood?
You're an attorney. He works for a newspaper. You're not in the same goddamn neighborhood.
Yeah, I'm trying to make this work.
I've lived in the same house for 12 years.
You're in the same subdivision as Adam?
No,
but it's walkable. I can walk right to his house.
Oh, okay.
There's
a railroad track in between.
No,
where the people that work in Justin's neighborhood, they walk and service.
Who has a gated neighborhood and who doesn't?
They walk through the gate to work into Justin's.
Wait. You already said is Justin's gated?
Of course it is.
Yeah. Any jalopy, shit RV, tire stealer, anyone who wants can go right into Adam's neighborhood.
Stop. They are not that different neighborhood.
Adam's neighborhood is actually a little bit nicer than mine, so I'm not killing him. But I'm like, sorry, I was like all shocked. I'm like, you do not live in that subdivision. Stop.
I'm 99% certain I walk by Justin's neighborhood like pretty much every night. Yeah, okay. It's right there. But Dan, to explain it, like we live in a community that was first centered on a very, very exclusive golf course. And like there's a bunch of mansions around the golf course. It's a lot of celebrities. Lon Kruger's house is back there. Floyd Mayweather's house is back there on the course. But then like the community spread from there. And like, I'm in one of the developments that spread off of there. And exactly, Mark, thank you, NFL reporters. When I was an MMA reporter, I lived in a studio apartment. NFL way up here. Sorry,
guys.
So the neighborhood kind of spread, but it is so. There was a famous story that Floyd slapped one of the security guards in our neighborhood, and it's the same security that we have. Who, by the way, I think I've told this story. I witnessed pull out a gun on a dog, and I was like, "Yeah, no wonder Floyd hit you.
Yeah.
Like, what the hell are you doing?" It was insanity. So,
no. So we deal with the same HOA. We have the same trash day. I know exactly what Adam's talking about. You can't put it out too early.
Yeah.
You can put it out tomorrow, but you can't.
How early is too early?
That you can put it out the day before.
What time?
Well, I think you're probably pretty safe if you do it afternoon.
Yeah, I agree with the HOA. I think it should be once it gets dark, then you can put it out. I don't want to see that shit on the street.
No, I'm with
Oh
it.
my god!
I did. It was an accident. Like I literally, I dragged it out there, and I realized, oh wait, it's Thursday, not Friday, and then I dragged it back in because I was like, I don't want to deal with this. It was just a total accident.
Wait, before we go any further down this road, I'm just gonna say, I bet you the value of Adam's house is really, really close to the value of my house. I've been in this house forever. Me and my
well, because you stayed in the house. Yeah. That's fine.
Yeah, our neighborhoods are very, very similar. Yes, mine has a gate that doesn't fucking work, and there's nobody guarding it, and you can literally, there's no spikes either, so you can just like walk under it. You just roll under it. It's due all the time. Okay, it's there. It's a gate, I guess. But
I will just note one has plantation shutters, one has the regular vertical blinds. So I'll just say that.
Oh yeah, I do have that. Yeah, well,
dude, I'm so jonesing for what Justin has. I can't take my blinds anymore. I got to get someone in here to freaking. Here's the thing, right? You know what's funny right now on a kind of unrelated topic. If you try to get anything done on your house right now, it is like it's a frenzy. I have been basically rebuffed or. I have a concrete guy. I talked about the concrete guy. I'm going to get some stuff done. And the guy's like, yeah, I'll give your number to this person, this person, this person. None of them called me. I'm like, Jesus. Like, people are busy right now. They're like, unless you got a big job, you ain't getting a call back.
That's right. That's one thing I will say. We did a lot of stuff at the house. Like my backyard's kick ass. It's all good. But yeah, Steve, I was trying to do work on my cabin up in Utah, and forget it. There are 3 dudes who will go and work in this little town in Bryan Head. There's like 3 contractors that will do anything. And they're like, yeah, you want to talk to me? I'm 3 years booked. Like, I'm as busy as I want to be. I didn't move to Bryan Head to work 60 hours weeks, It's impossible. Can't do anything.
Yeah. Wow. By the way, Brady, that was Mitch who had the plantation shutter read. I've never had that company. Sunburst Shutters. That was never my read. So.
Boy, how fancy is their building?
Yeah. Wait, doesn't Clay do that read?
No, Clay does zero res, which is by far the best read.
No, he does do the shutters.
I think he does both.
He does the shutters?
Yeah.
Whatever.
Hollywood shutters.
It works.
Plantation is canceled.
Now that said, when I bring them in, if they don't compete on the bid, then I'm not using them. So,
well, by the way, guys, I just want to thank you guys for being really good sports. You guys are now that we have Aaron Rodgers, you guys will take your rightful place in the basement of the AFC West.
Back to the bottom of the West.
So, you guys have been real good sports about it, and you haven't said a word. So, thank you. You guys have been gracious about it, and good job.
That would be an awesome dig if I weren't a Jets fan. Adam isn't a fan of anything, and Justin hasn't gone to the Raiders.
Fan, a Bills fan. He's a Bills fan.
No.
No, we're both Charger fans now.
I thought you said Adam.
I'm Texans.
Oh,
you came on my show and said you're a Bills fan.
I was.
Reform.
Wherever Tyrod goes, that's my team. So I'm a Texans fan.
Yeah, Tyrod Taylor's.
And what are you, Justin?
Chargers.
Oh, okay.
I mean, covering the Raiders, I do think Rodgers is going to the Broncos, and covering the Raiders, I'm thrilled about it. I mean, like every game is going to be a fun game. We're going to have Mahomes, Rodgers, and the Chargers and Herbert for a long time. Like it's going to be fun games to cover. I'm thrilled.
Just nonsense.
Probably not going to cover a playoff game anytime soon, but still be fun.
Yeah.
That's true.
I feel like my Chargers are more likely gonna make the playoffs before the Raiders do.
Oh, if Rodgers comes out, it's gonna be tough for the Chargers too.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. But if the Broncos didn't do the Chargers would do it to themselves, right? So if somebody's gonna keep us down, it might as well be through the efforts of somebody else rather than ourselves.
Actually, I did say today, as much as I hate that organization for harboring racist fans in Buffalo, if Brandon Beane follows through, okay, I will go back to Buffalo. I will be a Bills fan again.
He's not doing any of this. Cut it out.
Oh, if he follows through,
it's so stupid. Tell the audience and tell these guys what the GM of the Bills said, trying to make a big threat. He'll back down immediately.
He said if the league comes out and says that you can have a normal offseason, that you can have players in the building, that you can have regular meetings, not have to go on Zoom, that you can actually go in your building and work out all offseason and be normal again, if all the players are vaccinated and you have holdouts on the team that won't get vaccinated, they will be cut. So let's fucking go, because we know Josh Allen's already on record saying he's not getting it. So if you cut him and say, hey, didn't get vaccinated, bro, you're out, I'm back. I'm back in.
By the way,
that's a stand I can support.
I haven't read this story yet. I have a feeling you're embellishing a bit. If he actually said that from a legal standpoint, didn't he just fuck himself?
From a legal standpoint? Why?
Yeah. You all have to get vaccinated or I'm going to cut you.
I don't see a problem with that.
Seems shaky to me.
You're from a competitive standpoint, you're holding the team back.
Yeah.
That's an on-field issue.
Why is the NBA? Why are the Lakers being so careful about it? Why is the NHL being careful about it?
Well, I think it's different as the whole organization goes, right? If it's one team setting up a policy, that's one thing. But if it was the NFL saying that to all players, then I think you're dealing with a collective bargaining issue. If it's just one team, this guy says this is what I want, and people who don't want it, they're getting cut, and they're still available to be picked up by any other team, that's the way he wants to run it. It's like the Yankees and the haircuts.
Is it?
Sort of.
I feel like it's no, but okay. I'll let you run with it. Okay.
Did you see what happened to our right tackle out here in Denver?
Yep.
Yes. Yeah.
Jawan James.
Yep. Not good. That'll be an NFLPA issue when they try to not pay him.
Oh, it already is. They were kind of going at it already today.
Of course. Exactly, Martini Maker. All right, we're gonna wrap it. We got to all the good sports stuff. We'll have to hit on this stuff next week, but appreciate it. Thanks for watching. Thanks, Dan. Thanks, Justin. I'll figure out man, that was hardcore. Justin's like, I'm not delivering the meat. I'm like, all right, I'll come and get it.